Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on the CAMARO ZLE and we're finally finishing up those suspension upgrades that I've been working for quite some time now. And as you can see, the Camaro is all ready to go. It's on the 2-post lift. The wheels are off. But now before we get started, let me show you the current upgrades that it has. So starting at the rear, everything that I've upgraded is in red, as you can see. So I already upgraded the upper control arm as well as the trailing arms. Now with just these 3 parts, I was able to just notice a huge difference at the track. The car just felt a lot more planted. And then just driving overall, I was able to just feel a lot more communication from the rear. Now I currently don't have anything in the front, but that will be changing today. But let me show you the parts that I'm about to install. So these are the parts that we'll be installing today. So starting with the tow rods, the front end links, and the rear end links. So as you can see, they're all red for the exception of these, but these are all BMR parts. The parts that I currently have installed in the rear are from BMR as well. I mean, I just really like their products just because they have some really good quality, some really good weight to them, and they just don't really feel like the cheap OEM products. So I haven't had any issues with them so far. I do have a discount code. I'll have it here on the screen. So if you guys are interested, you can go ahead and use it, and that applies to any generation Camaro, Mustang, Dodge, and they not only have parts for track setup but also for drag. So if you're interested, if you want to use this discount code, then you can go ahead and do so. We're going to start off with the front here. So we'll be replacing these front end links. So we'll be getting rid of these and then replacing them with these BMR ones right here. Then after that, I do plan on making another change. So as you can see, I do have a little bit more that I can lower it. So I'm going to just lower the car all the way down here in the front. That's going to lower it up 10 millimeters. And the reason that I'm doing that is because ever since I've installed those suspension parts in the rear, when tracking the car and then just exiting the corners, I've been experiencing some understeer. So this will help with that. It's just going to lower the car and then just provide more downforce in the front and then just balance it off. I do plan on making another change here in the rear, but for now, let's focus on this. This is the end link that we just removed. Now let me show you what you need in order to remove it. So you need a pass-through socket. This is the one that I used, as well as an Allen key. If you use a normal socket, you'll be able to break it, but eventually this thread will just keep turning and you'll just go nowhere. So in order to prevent that, then you'll just need the Allen key just to hold it in place, and then you'll be able to loosen it up. Now let me just show you how both of these end links look. So this is the OEM one. It's pretty thin, it's kind of flimsy, and then this is the BMR one, which is a lot thicker, and you can just tell it's just better quality material. Now it does have a little bit more weight to it, but I'm not too worried about that. So now we can go ahead and install it. But before we do that, I actually need to adjust this. So I'll adjust it to the same height as this, and then we can go ahead and install it here. Just finished with the front, so I adjusted the collar all the way down up to the last thread, as you can see. But let me tell you that this was not easy at all. I was struggling because it was very hard on there, but I managed. Now I retightened it, so now we're all good with both the left and the right. Now let me show you the BMR end link, which is this. So now it's installed. Now the instructions do call for you to put the top end first. Make sure that it's flush, and then you can tighten it. Then you can move on to the bottom. Now you may or may not have to adjust it depending on how you adjusted it, comparing it to the OEM one. And then you can just put it towards the bottom here, and then once again make sure it's flush, and you put the nut. So once both of these sides are good, then you can move on to the middle here and then just tighten these jam nuts. So now we're good to go with the front. So now let me show you what we're gonna do in the rear. Now here at the rear, we're gonna start off by removing this end link, which is this little baby end link. It's so small compared to the one in the front. So we'll be removing this one and then just replacing it with the BMR one. And I also mentioned to you guys that I also wanted to make a change here in the rear, and that's just going to be changing the settings here on the sway bar. But first, let's get this replaced, and then I'll show you where I'm gonna place it. So I ended up running into an issue with the end link. So once I removed the OEM end link, I was adjusting the BMR one just so it could be as close as possible in length to the OEM one. But then I noticed even when I adjusted it all the way down, then it was just a little bit taller than the OEM one, maybe by like 1/4 inch. But I really didn't think anything of it. When I was installing it, I was putting way too much pressure on the sway bar, pulling it up so this can go into the sway bar, and it just wouldn't go in as smooth. So I figured that's not where it should be. So I ended up taking it off, and then I figured, okay, this is just a little bit too tall and needs to closely resemble this length. Then I figured, well, the only way to fix that is to make an alteration here and then just cut the thread on the bearing a bit. So Chris ended up using a Dremel and cutting it. He cut off like about 1/4 inch of the thread on that bearing, and now I was able to adjust it, and then it matches the length of this OEM one, at least as much as possible. So now I installed it on the left rear. So let me show you. So now this is how it looks. I didn't have to put any pressure with this. I didn't have to pull it up, push it down. It's exactly where it was, and then you can see that this is just fine there. But this is not a BMR issue. This is something that you'll end up running into if you buy the adjustable end links and you're still using them with the OEM adjustable sway bars, at least when it comes to the CAMARO ZL1 1LE. And yes, it is the next day. That's why I'm wearing a new shirt, just because I ended up running into this issue yesterday and it just got pretty late. End links are installed. I just finished on this side, and as you guys saw, it went in smoothly. I didn't have to apply any pressure to the sway bar, so that's done. Now the other change that I was talking to you about that I did want to make here in the rear in regards to the sway bar is I did end up placing the end links on the last hole, and that's the stiffest setting on the sway bar. So this change, along with lowering the front all the way, are gonna just complement each other, and I'm just following this because GM does recommend that if you are experiencing any exit corner understeer, then for you to make these two changes there. Now the reason that I'm doing this now and not before is because ever since I've upgraded the BMR parts here for the suspension, then the rear is just, like I said, it's just a lot more communicative, it's a lot more planted, it's doing a lot of the work, it's just working more efficient, and the front just really doesn't know what to do because there's a lot of grip here in the back. So this should already eliminate the understeer next time I take it to the track, but of course I'll give you guys feedback. So now the last thing that we have to do is just replace the tow rods. So I think I'm gonna start on the other side, on the left side rear, and then we can work here. So let's get to that. So just installed this tow rod. Now one of the differences between this BMR one and OEM is that these come with these square lockout washers right here, and if you can see, it has two little grooves, so this just stays into place, and this just makes it a lot easier when you take your shop to get it aligned because they no longer have to rely on these dials. So now it's easier for them because all you need to do is adjust the middle, so you just need to adjust these jam nuts. Now another reason why I did change all of these BMR suspension parts, because it's not only to make it easier for the shop when I take it to get aligned, but it is because with all of these BMR parts, I've eliminated all of the rubber bushings, so that just eliminates deflection, there's better articulation, and it just keeps everything into one place and you know exactly what's going on. Now if you ever want to do any corner balancing, then that's where these end links will come into play. But this is what a BMR rear end looks like, except for the sway bars because I'm still using the OEM ones. But I really do like it because everything is red and it matches the red caliper, so I'm really digging this look. I have the last last tow rod that I need to install. So this is it, and then this is the OEM one. So this is the difference in how they look. Now, as far as weight, this BMR one weighs about 10 ounces more than this one, so just a tiny bit heavier, but I'm not too concerned about that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and install this one on the passenger rear. So next we need to remove this and get that one there, and then we'll be done. After that, then I'll just torque everything to spec. Then we can go lower the car and put the wheels back on. So I'll see you guys then. We are finally done with all of the suspension modifications for the CAMARO Z, so I'm so excited. And I do want to thank BMR for sponsoring my car. And again, if any of you are interested in any BMR parts, then just make sure to check out their website, and you can use my discount code as well, which will be in the description down below. Now, there is one thing that I did forget to tell you. So those end links that I installed, they do need to have grease injected in them. I didn't do that because I don't have a grease gun, so I do need to get one and then take care of that. Now, that's really easy. I don't need to take off the wheels for that. I just need to lift up the car and then just inject the grease, and then I'll be good to go. So there will be more videos with the Camaro. I still have more maintenance to do, and then 2 power modifications, so that's going to be very exciting. And all of this is going to be done before the big track event, which is at the end of November, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Now, I know a lot of you have been asking me for the GC350 as well. When am I going to start that engine rebuild project? So I did order 2 things that I needed: an engine stand and an engine hoist. So I'm waiting on those to come, and as soon as they come, then that's it. We're full steam and we're going to get that project going, so stay tuned for that as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.